episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Bro Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Well, my apologies, y'all. I had to go to a conference last week, and I had planned on having Representative John Bartlett on the show last week. Oh, but never fear. There's going to be a special half-hour version of just me and Representative John Bartlett chopping it up. So look for it. I'm going to do a special recording because he was so gracious in me having to cancel the show. He was so cool about it. So he's going to do a special recording, and that's going to be out this week. So look for it on my YouTube page, on Spotify, and on iTunes. Yes, I'm on all the spaces. Hey, there's been some exciting news since the last time I was here. First up, can I just give a shout out and a big congratulations to the new state senator, Lakeisha Jackson of District 34. She was caucused in to replace the late, great Senator Jean Breaux, who passed away this year. So she will take over for Senator Breaux for the remainder of her term, but there will be another caucus so that we can vote on who will be on the ballot for the May primary, because Senator Breaux had actually filed and was on the primary. So we have to do another caucus for that. Plus, in Marion County, we got a whole nother caucus to do to replace Lakeisha on the city county council. So this is just like a great opportunity for all of the Marion County PCs and vices to get together and just chop it up, right? And get motivated and get to talking about how we're going to elect more Democrats this year. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Yeah. Also, we want to give a shout out and a big congratulations to the brand new minted Black mayor in the state of Indiana, representing Fort Wayne, Indiana, Sharon Tucker. Congratulations, Sharon Tucker. Listen, she is taking over for the late, great Mayor Tom Henry, who, again, we say goodbye to this year, and she will be finishing out his 4-year term, which he just was elected in November. Right. So we were only like 4 months into his new term. She will have it for the next 4 years. And of course, in Fort Wayne, they will be caucusing in someone to replace her as well on the city council. Now, check this out, y'all. I don't know if this is some kind of thing, but is this like the year of the sister? I mean, Black women just... come on, Indiana Democrats. Talk about diversity and inclusion. Talk about having representation. Talk about all the things that matter, right? Making sure that voices are heard. Black women are excelling in our Indiana Democratic Party. Y'all never thought y'all'd hear nothing like that, huh? Indiana, Black women. Come on, my Black lesbian behind is the loudest mouth in the party. What is you talking about? This is what we do. We elevate the voices of all people in our party. We are the big tent. There's enough room for everybody to get down and with this. And with that, we have to be very cautious and cognizant of who is running against us and the things that they'll be saying and the things that they'll be doing. Did anybody catch the latest gubernatorial debate that was on the other night, Tuesday night? Can I just say that was trash? That whole thing was trash. The moderator was extra trash. He was literally arguing with the candidates, like he was debating the candidates. You're the moderator. You're supposed to just, moderate. But he was actually arguing with the candidates. It was awful. I'm not going to go into details on it because, it's on the web and you guys can look at it. But what I want to talk about was the one candidate that wasn't there. There was one candidate that wasn't there, and that was Senator Mike Braun. Have you guys seen his video, his commercials for governor, and how he ultimately boasts about being endorsed by the 88 indictments and is in court right now for criminal charges and is accused of rape and has been found guilty of fraud? How happy he is to get this clown's endorsement. I mean, that should be troubling enough about, his values and his scruples and his morals, that this guy who has been found convicted, not suspect, but found convicted and liable for fraud. Fraud. He lies to people. This is who Mike Braun is excited about. This is who Mike Braun is excited about, is endorsing him. But he's got a commercial out right now that talks about, and again, all of the candidates are talking about ending diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I don't know, they don't like people who are not like them. And real quick, before I dive into the Mike Braun commercial, Curtis Hill is a self-hating kind of fella. He don't even like he black, but okay. I mean, that's just my impression. I've been on a show with him a time or two, and bruh, he's an Elvis impersonator. I just find him problematic. Now, anybody is, I'm not saying he ain't black enough, because I'm not trying to say or determine what somebody's blackness is. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying, I think he wishes he wasn't. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Now, that being said, let's go back to Mike Braun. Mike Braun has a commercial where he's got all of these law enforcement folks in the videos in their uniforms. And they are talking about they want to eliminate or do away with the radical Black Lives Matter organization. Now, this commercial is troublesome to me and bothers me for multiple reasons. Because one, I actually understand why the Black Lives Matter movement began. It was because there are a lot of law enforcement individuals who were shooting unarmed black people, and there was no prosecutorial justice for those black people who were unarmed and got shot and killed. Black people were turning up dead when they were in the custody of law enforcement. Okay, does everybody understand what I'm saying? Black folks were turning up dead when they were in custody of law enforcement, and that in turn birthed the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, I don't take any type of consideration when white folks tell me that a black organization is radical, because most of these white folks don't actually talk to black people on a regular basis. They just, listen to other white people talk about black people. Or they go find them some Candace Owens type chick who is literally espousing white supremacist theories to make money. Like, she does it because it's profitable, right? But what is really bothersome to me is that you have law enforcement agencies in uniform in this commercial talking about that they denounce Black Lives Matter. Well, why does that bother me? Because I might get pulled over by one of those guys that thinks that Black Lives Matter is a radical notion. It's a radical thought. What if I'm pulled over by one of those law enforcement officers in that commercial who believes that people who believe that Black Lives Matter is a radical idea? Who is this person? Who are these people that I may have to come in contact with? Is my life now in jeopardy? Because they're basically telling you they're going to eliminate anything that says that my life matters as a black person. They're police officers and sheriffs in uniforms in this commercial. I mean, I don't typically get in trouble with law enforcement. I sometimes drive a little fast. I ain't gonna lie. I live in Indiana. We're known to drive fast, especially if you live in Indianapolis. But knowing that the salaries of individuals whom my tax dollars pay is comfortable with the notion that Black lives don't actually matter enough for it to not be a radical notion could pull me over. And something negative could happen to me because this person who doesn't believe Black Lives Matter pulled me over. But what's really disturbing about it is the person that wants to lead our state believes that our lives just don't matter because they think it's a radical notion. Listen to the words that they're saying. Mike Braun does not value our lives. And I'm certain it's not just black people. I bet he really don't care about brown people that much either. And I bet he really don't care about LGBTQ plus folks that much either. But we are citizens in this state, and we are tax-paying citizens in this state. And the idea that someone who wants to be my governor does not think or believes that my life being meaningful is radical? Y'all, I need y'all to vote for Jennifer McCormick for governor. I need someone that at least sees me. I need someone that understands the issues that matter to all of us. Because the candidates on the other side, they're not talking about us. They want to bust unions, and the unions have had an ample growth in the last couple of years of improving the lives of their union members. But they want to bust unions. They want to ban books. They want to continue to attack trans youth. And they refuse to believe that women and their doctors know better about what needs to happen with their bodies than elected officials. These guys want everybody to have a gun. They want everybody just to be able to have a gun without a permit. So we can shoot up a few more schools. I don't know how many more schools we can possibly shoot up. But I need you guys to understand this is what we are working with. And this is why it's so important for you to get out and turn out to vote. This is not an option, y'all. If you are registered to vote, I need you at the May primary. And if you didn't get registered for the May primary, I need you to get registered as soon as registration opens up so you can be ready for November. Because these people have already told you with guns on their hips and badges on their chests that Black Lives Matter is a radical idea. That's my rant. Kind of pissed me off every time I see that commercial because it come on every 15 minutes. But check this out. If you are a candidate and you have a digital ad and you want to run it on the second highest rated political podcast in Indiana, which is Turn Left, reach out to me. Scan the QR code so I can pencil you in for a slot to air your spot. Yes, there's a fee. But I want to give a shout out to Mark Carmichael for United States Senate and his team. He is the first ad that I will be running as a candidate who is running for office. He is now supporting Black businesses. He is now supporting woman-owned businesses. He is now supporting LGBTQ plus businesses. And I want to say thank you, Mark Carmichael, for giving me the opportunity to run your ad. And after that, you'll hear from my sponsors, Bohm's Unique Boutique.
I'm Mark Carmichael, and I'm running for the United States Senate from Indiana. I'm a native Hoosier, and I'm a past member of the Indiana House of Representatives, where I served on the Ways and Means Committee and learned how to cooperate across the aisle with Republicans to get things done. I have 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and I'm running for the United States Senate because I'm concerned about their future. I'm concerned about the erosion of women's rights in this country. I'm going to work to ban the sale of military-style assault weapons. I'd also like universal background checks. I want to have Medicare for all because I think everyone should have access to medical care, especially our LGBTQ youth who are being used as political pawns by Republican legislators. I would appreciate your support. Please join us at our website, markforindiana.com, where you can read all about the issues I'm concerned about and donate to help our cause. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the campaign trail.
Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code DEMOCRAT. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. right. Again, shout out to Mark Carmichael's team for reaching out to me. And guys, this is a platform. And, it's an opportunity for us to share our message with folks all over the state. So consider advertising on Turn Left, the second-rated Indiana political podcast in the state. I'm excited about that. All right, I'm ready for my guest now. I'm really excited because, you know what? I've had an opportunity to kick it with people all over the state. And when you get a chance to have them on your show and they're excited about being on your show, I get doubly hyped because it's like they want to be here. They want to come and share their story about why they're running for office. And they want to talk to Indiana's own. So I'm really, really excited. First up, running for Allen County Council at Large as a candidate, Nate Cardelli. Nate, welcome to the show.
Dana, thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure. And one of my homies I've been seeing for 4, 6, a long time in all the political spaces in Indiana, running in House District 39, I said that all around, Matt McNally. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dana. First of all, congratulations on having the #2 political podcast in Indiana. And secondly, I apologize for my attire. I just came in from canvassing and knocking on doors, talking to more voters today. So thank you.
Never apologize for getting out there talking to the people, my man. Never apologize for that's what I want to hear. I want to hear you was out there sweating and grinding to make it work. Guys, we talked about the ladies that are now assuming positions from some of our fallen leaders. And Nate, I know you are from Fort Wayne. Talk about what it means to have Sharon Tucker as the new mayor.
I am absolutely thrilled that we have Mayor Tucker here in Fort Wayne now. She is not only a voice for progress in our community, she is a voice for, she spent her entire career working for folks who've been underserved. So Mayor Tucker is going to be an excellent mayor for Fort Wayne. I was fortunate enough to be one of the precinct chairs that got to vote for her. And I will tell you, the energy in that room was just electrifying. She brought something to the table that no one else was bringing there. And it was so clear that she was going to be our next mayor. And I'm just so proud to live in Fort Wayne right now.
I love it. Well, Matt, so Senator Breaux and Senator Jackson and Sharon Tucker, neither one will be representing you. But did you have any thoughts on the new ladies taking over?
No, I think it's great. When you, like you had said earlier, when you look at some of the strides that we've made in the state, and first of all, my condolences on the loss of your friend as well as mentor, Senator Bray. But when you look at the strides we've made as a state, I think it shows that we're not this deep red, ruby red state that people think we are. And I think it shows how much growth we've had, and it's a good sign for the future.
I love it. I like the way you looked at that. And obviously there's room for everybody in our tent.
Yes.
I don't understand why the other side ain't really all that interested. So that's why we got more people in ours. All right, let's get to it. Nate, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
So my name is Nate Cardelli. I'm a Fort Wayne, Indiana native, or as I'm saying now, an Allen County, Indiana native. And really, my background, my career background is in public service. So I've spent the last 6 years at the Botanical Conservatory here in Fort Wayne. So it's a public attraction, but it's actually municipally operated. So have gotten really deep into public service. Prior to that, I was in the private sector. I'm also the youngest person on my ballot in my county right now. I'm 29 years old. And there's no one like me running in my area. So that's why I eventually decided to run. But
wait. I want to know, what does that mean? There's nobody like you. What makes you so unique?
I don't see any other 29-year-old gay men running for office in Allen County, Indiana. And honestly, I'm very excited to present that opportunity to folks.
Okay, now me and you gonna fight. All right, me and you gonna fight. What we doing with Stonewall? Are you on Stonewall up there?
Hey, we needed to get Stonewall started. I actually had conversations this past weekend about getting Allen County Stonewall started back up.
All right.
Initially, it didn't have the interest, but we have a few great leaders who are interested in starting it back up. I hope to be one of them. Obviously, during campaign season, it's a little bit more
Sure.
difficult.
Sure.
But I'm coming at this from just a native Allen County background, wanting to make my community better, and just a public servant.
I love it. And you know what's so exciting? Yes, I'm glad that you're running, and I'm really excited that as a young person you're running. But I have a new Stonewall recruit. So even if Fort Wayne don't pop off like we needed to, you could come on down over to the state area, because I'm getting old. I need you young whippersnappers, because you know what? They keep attacking us. And I need, we got to keep the work and highlighting how our community is being attacked relentlessly by people who don't understand who we are, or they just don't like us, or their religion tells them something different, right? So yeah, Nate, after this election is over, trust, know, and believe Indiana's own's going to find you.
That's excellent.
Matt, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
So my name is Matt McNally. My mom was a Catholic school secretary. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and I'm a product of Catholic schools. I went to the Citadel for college, which is a military college in South Carolina. Ooh. I was commissioned into the United States Navy in May of 2000. Very shortly after, married a Hoosier from Evansville, and so I knew I was always going to end up being a Hoosier. But had a 22-year career in the military, and the day I retired, I decided that there was a need and decided to run for office.
I love it.
I was a pilot. I was a pilot in the Navy, and did a year in Afghanistan in 2010, working on basically establishing a Department of Justice that we could hand over. And ultimately, obviously, we know the results of some of that, but we did a lot of good work there while we were there.
You know what the contrast that I'm seeing right now in the two gentlemen who are sharing the mic with me tonight. You remember when the military was banning gay people? Like here in our party, we ain't having that, right? We're not having none of that. We have a military man who probably is ideologically more aligned with a gay guy from Allen County than a Republican military person. I mean, obviously military. I just want to throw that contrast out there. That's pretty dope.
So I remember when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, and I had just checked into a new squadron. This was right after I had gotten back from Afghanistan. And I was stationed in South Texas, and I was a flight instructor in a training command. And a Navy Commander 05 got in front of the officers of the squadron and was able to come out.
Wow.
and finally be honest with who he was. Everybody kind of already knew. And I remember the response was, "Hey man, here's a beer." And then everybody went and shook his hand. Like it didn't matter. And I think that there's these kind of perceptions that there's this certain way. And he was just one of our brothers. You know what I mean?
And you know what? I've always heard that. I was too chicken to go in the military because I don't like mud. And I heard y'all crawl through a lot of that. Wasn't doing that. But that's what I've heard though from folks that actually served. Like you have the bureaucracy of people creating policies, but then you have the people you work next to day in and day out. I actually had a conversation with someone yesterday, and obviously I'm not necessarily down with the draft. And as a form to recruit, but I wish that we had some kind of like, after high school, everyone was required to do like 2 years of service. And no matter how differently abled you were, right, there was a way for you to serve. Because one of the things I think the military does that a lot of other places don't do is that you have to interact with people from different places who have different experiences, and you have to learn to work together. And if we could make people do that, where you have to go, you may not want to be in the military, you might want to be in the Peace Corps, right? Or you want to work at a food bank, but you have to get together with people who are not like you. Just as a thought, guys, what do you think of an idea like that to like help improve our relations between fellow citizens? Nate, you first.
Hey, I've heard this concept before, and I've heard it even extended to the nonprofit realm. And it's something that we take seriously at the city of Fort Wayne. So we've made sure that we have internship and development opportunities for folks just out of high school who want alternative career paths. So we promote careers in horticulture at the Botanical Conservatory as potentially, I mean, you don't need to go to college necessarily to be a full-time gardener. And if that's what you want to do, it can be a very rewarding career.
Mm-hmm.
So we find that that service pathway that a lot of folks do end up taking, and it would, I think it would have been essential in my career building as well, just as a great mechanism to really dig into what you want to do before you're going to college and making a commitment that's going to last the rest of your life that, you know, may not actually be a good fit when you get 4 years into your career.
Right. I feel that. Matt?
So there are a lot of countries that have some form of mandatory service. It's not necessarily military. And I think it really depends on which side is presenting the argument to the level of agreement, right? I'm opposed to a draft unless it's like a, you know, World War II survival, you know, type of situation. But I do think that there is value in service, whether it be a school teacher, whether it be a firefighter, police officer, the military, or AmeriCorps is a great program, Peace Corps. I think that the best part of my 22 years was meeting people from so many different backgrounds, urban, rural, Texas, Seattle. People
I loved how you went from urban to rural and then Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there's, you know, growing up in the Midwest, it's people you may not have otherwise been able to interact with. And I think, you know, you really appreciate everybody is there for a different reason. But when you get there and you start working together, you're all there for the same reason.
Yeah, because we've lost so much civility, and like even with our elected officials, right? I mean, people have forgotten what being an elected official is. You are serving the community. Some of these folks out here don't get it, and that's on both sides of the aisle. That ain't on one side. That's on both sides. Guys, listen, Indiana's own Dana Black. I am talking to Matt McNally and Nate Cardelli. You all know that this is a fundraiser. Click the donate link to donate to these candidates, right? Make sure, because it takes money, right? It takes a lot of money to run an efficient campaign, to make sure that they're communicating. I know a lot of times you guys always ask, who is the party putting up to do what? Well, if you guys have got to support the candidates too. Right, you guys got to put some sweat equity in, some time, talent, or treasure to help these candidates win elections. It doesn't matter who we put up. If you're not supporting them, it's not going to work. So please click the donate link. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Nate, there's got to be a real reason why you ran for office. What was going on in Allen County that you saw as a reason that you needed to put your name on the ballot?
So there are, I mean, any number of reasons I could have decided to run. But when it came down to it, I had actually said, you know what, 2024 is not my year. Let me revisit in 2026. And that was the day before the January County Council meeting here in Allen County. And I had been in discussions about running this year, but it just ultimately, you know, I'm a PhD candidate right now, and I was working towards that pursuit. So walking and chewing gum was something that did intimidate me at the time. I'm doing well with it, surprisingly. We've, after this weekend, we'll have done 1,400 doors. So it's not like I'm taking campaigning lightly either. But that's to say that I watched that January meeting and I was sitting there and I was like, I can't have a county council that treats each other this way.
Wow.
So the biggest click for me was the county chief of staff was there giving a presentation, and you could hear one of the county councilors off mic calling him arrogant and an expletive, and that just didn't sit right with me. It's not how we should treat our public servants. I believe that we should treat our public servants with dignity and respect. And that's what's actually missing at our county council table in Allen County. And that's what I'm hoping to bring back to that table. We actually have a 7-0 Republican council, and I don't think any government operates well when it's completely tilted to one side. And the county has absolutely no Democratic representation. We need to change that.
I agree. So when you saw this meeting and you saw the conduct, you were like, where's the civility? We got to do better. But were there specific issues that they were working on that you either saw that they could do better with or that they were ignoring, anything like that?
So one of the issues that actually forced me to jump in was the discussion on the Allen County Jail. Now, I'm approaching this uniquely as a Democrat because I was actually for the development of the Allen County Jail, but not for the reasons that my Republican colleagues were. I see the jail as a mechanism to reduce recidivism in our community, treat mental health and substance abuse issues. And that's not what they're approaching it as. They're actually using words like value engineering, which are very scary in public
What does
projects
that
like
mean?
this. So they want to whittle down the price of the jail, which means we're going to look at those essential services like mental health and substance abuse. And those are going to be the first things to go because they're not essential to running a jail, but they're essential to having a healthy community. So that was one of the pieces that really forced me to jump in because even though county council is a fiscal body, it has the power to do a lot of really bad and a lot of really great things, depending on who's driving the ship. And we need to have different people driving the ship so that we're making great decisions that are going to impact our community down in 2080.
Right. Right. A lot of our elected officials right now can't seem to see past the next election.
They sure can't.
And that's problematic. For example, I had a candidate on from Michigan City or South Bend, and they said they had closed down a retirement facility or assisted living facility and moved everybody to Fort Wayne.
Wow.
When that happens, you have all of these new people who need assistance. You guys need to be able to be prepared to take care of this influx, right?
Yeah, we sure do. And that's just, I mean, when we look at the system here in Fort Wayne in Allen County, we have a lot of opportunity to, I mean, even help the underhoused or unhoused populations. And the county doesn't even have a housing authority to do that. So when we look at the opportunity in Allen County, it's vast. And as the largest county land area wise in the state, we have to do better.
I didn't know that. I knew Marion County was the largest by population, but I didn't know Allen. For some reason I thought Lake was, but okay, I like it.
It takes a long time to cross this county, Dana.
Yeah, I've been across it. I love visiting up there. Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
You know the State House is my baby.
Yeah.
I know what bothers me, but tell me, sir, why are you running for the State House?
So their overarching reason is because I do not feel like Hoosiers are being represented. I believe in service, right? My parents taught me that. My grandparents taught me that. I try to live by that. And I think that when there's too many special interest groups or too much influence over policy that harms Hoosiers, it doesn't benefit Hoosiers. That's a problem. And when you look at, I don't care if it's a supermajority Democratic state or a supermajority Republican state. When you have an imbalance in government, you don't have accountability. You don't have transparency. And we saw some of that this year with some of the legislation passed specifically with the public access counselor. And I, a little bit of my origin story, I wasn't always a Democrat. I was an independent. I was kind of, the two-party system kind of bothered me in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I looked around what was happening with Indiana and I just don't feel like our citizens are being properly represented. You look at the SB 1 2 years ago, where a significant portion of Hoosiers were against this infringement on their personal rights. When you look at even legalization, and I'm still formulating my own belief on legalization. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a lot of things that we aren't considering when we're calling for legalization, but at the same time, there's an overwhelming majority of Hoosiers who want that, and it just gets shot down. And I think that we as Hoosiers, we look around at the outside and we see Michigan, we see Ohio, we see Kentucky, we see Kansas allowing these ballot initiatives and these referendums, and we're kind of like the kid that everybody on the block's parents are letting them have pizza on a Friday night, and we can't have any. And we have no ability within our Constitution to have ballot initiatives to actually vote directly on these issues. Which again, that was another thing. It was proposed this year to have ballot initiatives, and it was shot down. Mm-hmm. So I just we just do not have representatives who are putting their constituents, the needs of their constituents ahead of the wants of special interest groups in the state.
You know what? I have to tip my hat to you because one, I appreciate the vulnerability in you sharing that you weren't always a Democrat, right? Because that could have just been washed under the rug. But two, you seem to be a more moderate Democrat, which is fine. I love all Democrats, and I think that's great. You could have ran as a Republican, and you would have had a better chance of winning. And you knew that going into it after having been here all this time, because you started out as an independent. Tell us about the moral compass that you said, okay, I'm going to run as a Democrat, even though it's going to be way more difficult.
So first of all, I love a challenge. But no, when I look around, and this is part of my journey. My sister came out about 20 years ago when I was in my early 20s, and I saw the change in the world and how we accepted members of the LGBTQ community. And then I feel like it's almost reversed course over the last few years. And that was kind of the beginning of my journey, was seeing that, this is my sister. I love my sister. These are my friends in the military. These are people who are literally putting their life on the line for our nation. And they're not being respected as with the same rights that my wife and I are. And I think that was kind of the beginning of the journey. And then I saw, again, going back to SB1, there's so many nuances and so many different circumstances for women to have to be put in these positions that there's no black and white answer for it. And it's not up to me. Okay. And I have my own personal view on it. But I don't think that I can influence anybody else's decision on how to live their life. Yeah. And if you truly believe in small government, you would be opposed to a lot of the things that have been happening in the state of Indiana over the last few years, because ultimately it boils down to personal liberty and individual freedoms and the right to privacy with medical privacy. You think about the Fourth Amendment, the right to be secure. Oh my God. Because the Attorney General is trying to obtain medical records. They were petitioning the courts. We want to be able to get medical records of pregnant women. Yeah. And it's concerning. And again, there's so many other factors. I've been married about 23 years. And when my wife was 35, she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
You add the 2 and the 3 together in them 23. That's how long me and Nick been together.
Oh, wow.
5.
So about 9 years ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I saw how much work she had to do to advocate for her own healthcare as a woman that I never had to do. And that's that's just another factor. And I was proud to testify on behalf of a bill that would help educate women on some breast cancer, breast density issues, that mammograms can't detect all types of cancer. I was proud to testify on that bill, and I do it for my wife, right? I mean, it's tough to tell a 6 and a 9-year-old that right before Christmas time that, their mom has breast cancer. Wow. And I wouldn't want to see anybody else have to be put in that position. But seeing how difficult, how much advocacy women have to do for their own healthcare, and seeing kind of some of the difficulty of that. I don't know. There's so many things that line up into kind of my own personal journey into why I'm not a Republican. But I just think at this point it's really about good faith discussion, and I feel like we can have those discussions. We have to be willing to, both the left and the right have to be willing to have good faith discussions about issues and not resort to talking points, not resort to rhetoric. We can disagree with each other and still be friends.
And I think that's exactly what Nate was talking about. Like here he's at the county level, you know, he's got these counselors who are supposed to be the leaders in the community treating each other like kids on the playground. Am I right, Nate?
You absolutely are. And the interesting thing that I just got out of that, I think I told you, Dana, I consider myself a bad Democrat in many ways. I'm never the most liberal person in the room. But what I will tell you is I'm consistent, and I hope that folks value my consistency. I don't waver on my opinions unless presented with fantastic evidence. I'm a social scientist, right? So I want to hear great evidence before I can really shift my thinking on something. And I'm going to be very honest and forthright when I do and how I got to that. So really, what we're lacking on county council is civility with one another. And if the Republicans can't even get along with each other and they run the show on our county council,
right?
I mean, we've obviously got to have a change, and it's not that party.
And then you wonder whose interests are they working for? If they're not even getting along, what is getting done in the county? You know, what ordinances are getting passed? What issues are being taken care of? You guys are the legislative body, I mean, the fiscal body, but what is being taken care of? Because so speaking of which, as the fiscal body, you have to work with the county commissioners,
yep.
Right? And when you win your election, you're going to have to work across the aisle. And I know Nate talked about, Matt talked about, I probably shouldn't have had a Matt and a Nate on the show at the same time, because you see my mouth is just not working. Matt talked about working across the aisle. When you win your election, Nate, you're going to have those type of conversations. Something you just said, you said you were a social scientist, which I know sometimes on the other side, science ain't the thing. But how will you use your leadership skills to get things done and work with someone that you may not be able to see eye to eye with?
Yeah, so this is one of those things that someone who's not open-minded will hold against me at the voting booth. One of the first meetings I had before thinking that this office was the right move was actually with our Republican county commissioners. And I know that getting them to support me that's probably not going to happen, right? That would be party suicide for them. But what they did offer was great campaign advice, consistency, and an open ear. And I can work with people like that. I can work with people who are willing to listen, who are willing to sit down with me and respect our differences. And I will tell you the other reason I chose to run in 2024 this year is because those at-large seats don't get affected by straight ticket voters in the presidential election. And when you shrink that differential in Allen County, it levels the playing field completely. So I have just as good of a chance of sitting in that county council seat next year as any of the Republicans on the other side.
So you mean to tell me if someone does a straight party ticket, they still have to go down and check the at-large seats for the county councils?
Yes, Democrats that are listening, you go down ballot. You don't hit straight ticket, you go down ballot and you hit your county council people. I don't care what county you're in, if you're voting county council at large, you have to select your at-large candidates.
Well, here in Marion County, we don't have a city council and a county council. We have a city county council. So Marion County is so different. I'm not gonna get on my rant. I'm not gonna get on my rant. They just treat us. They just come at the State House. Matt, when you win, will you stop letting these people attack Marion County like they do? Will you oppose legislation that tries to take away our mass transit for a 1 million person city?
So this again goes back to the concept of small government, right? Like when you look at home rule, local rule, this isn't the only thing that they've, and Marion County, Indianapolis is not the only city that essentially has been affected by this. You look at, I can name two things right away. One is the puppy mill bill. There were 21 or 23 cities in the state of Indiana, municipalities in the state of Indiana that banned the sale of dogs from puppy mills. Cities like Carmel, I believe Lafayette was one of them. Lafayette, Bloomington. And essentially what's happening is now the state is coming in and saying to these mayors and the city councils, and nope, sorry, we don't trust you to make the decisions that are best for your city. And I don't care if you're a Democratic mayor or Republican mayor. I believe that that's problematic. And there was another one that has been attempted a number of times, and that's PLAs, which are project labor agreements, which are like these small scale set of criteria that cities can place on projects when organizations bid for projects. It can set a minimum salary, minimum benefits, minimum training requirements. And the state has a number of times tried to come in and ban municipalities from using project labor agreements when they do projects. And so to me, I believe that, I don't necessarily abide 100% believe, the government that is best is the government that governs least. I don't necessarily 1000% agree with that statement. But in the case of, hey, these cities are functioning all right, the state does not need to go in and intervene and take away local control from our mayors. I live in a city, and I'm running in a city that has 2 Republican mayors. I think they're going to do great, and I trust them, and I trust our councils to make the decisions that are best for their communities. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been elected.
Right.
And so I do believe that the city needs to respect that and acknowledge, let these leaders lead.
Listen, Hamilton County is fine. Hamilton County is never going to be attacked from the state. Never, ever. Because I'm going to tell you why. The minority population ain't high enough. All right. They come after the counties that have a high concentration of minorities. So think about it. Black folks only make up about 9% of the state population. 9. But we are 30% in Marion County. So basically what's happening is these folks are saying, why are y'all listening to them? They're not smart enough to elect their own people to lead them. Because it's still a government, it's your local government that's making these decisions. But they're saying they don't know what they're doing. They didn't know who they elected because they try to take over our law enforcement agency. Hello, the state already has a police department. It's called the state police. I mean, so it's about power. It's so much. It's so much in the ability to disenfranchise voters at every level. So you're going to be fine in Hamilton County. They're not. In fact, they were even willing to change the rules for Hamilton. Remember the dollar rule, the dollar school rule, where if the school, Well, Hamilton County were like, we're not going to give you our building for $1. And the state literally was like, well, we need to revisit this because maybe it's not a good idea. But you was fine taking other district schools for $1. So trust me, Hamilton County, y'all good.
I actually think so. There was a school here that the city or the district was like, hey, we've got a workaround for this. Let's make it administrative buildings. And that was how they kind of got around it. And then the state came in and said, oh, no, we meant it can only be used for teaching, for school. And they then tried to change it again. And actually, Carmel just won a suit. The district just won a suit about this dollar school.
Yeah, well, it's so
rule.
stupid. We can't even call it what it is. Basically, it's so stupid.
Stealing from the public to sell it to private organizations.
Yes. It's crazy. And Nate, you're going to have to combat some of the issues that are being forced upon some of the counties and the state that come down from the state house. Have you had a chance to maybe look at, how some of the policies at the state house will impact your role as a county councilor?
So there's a fun answer here, right? I hope that I'm able to shake things up enough in Allen County that the State House cares about Allen County.
Okay.
Right now, I'll tell you that there's almost nothing happening to Allen County because they don't disagree with what's happening in it. It's the same people running the same government in Allen County as it is in the State House, and that's why it's fundamentally broken. But I will tell you that I've had great conversations with Minority Leader Giacquina, and he is committed to making sure that any of the Democrats that win this county council race this year, and I'm hoping for all 3 of us, I will tell you that. I would like to see all 3 of us get across, but Representative Giaquina is really willing to have these conversations with us to make sure that we're staying informed and that we know what's happening down in Indianapolis that's going to affect Allen County.
I love that, and Minority Leader Giaquinta has been a good leader. Has a nice even temperament. I really kind of like the way he leads because he's a nice counterbalance, I think, to Senator Taylor.
Yeah.
Senator Taylor's more like me. He's more fiery, so I think there's a nice balance with our minority leaders. But it's a struggle, I think, with what some of the bills that are coming out of the State House. All right, I got 10 minutes. I gotta ask these questions. Nate, tell us when you are elected, what are the three main issues that you will work on when you take office?
So the first one on my platform and the one I'm most passionate about, it got me into the race, is the Allen County Jail. I think it's vital that we come up with a solution and I really treat the jail as more of a criminal justice center, something that is comprehensive and addresses the needs of our community. And County Council has every ability to work with the commissioners and the Sheriff's Department to make sure that our jail is the most serviceable that it can be in Allen County. Number two, I want to see us tackle the unsheltered population issue. We have a homelessness and affordability crisis in Allen County, and we need to address these issues. We need to de-incentivize corporate landlords in Allen County. We need to make sure that we're working with the commissioners on that project, and they don't want to see these corporate landlords either. Now the out-of-state corporate landlords. We'll talk about in-state corporate landlords at another time, but the ones who aren't donating to them, of course, are not in their favor, right? And then number three, county spending. I'm a big believer in earned revenue. I think
wait. What is earned revenue?
So earned revenue is what I do every day at the Botanical Conservatory in Fort Wayne. And it's a municipal service that charges a fee or has user fees or writes grants to offset the costs of its programming. So on the county level, we can improve our services and programming by going and getting grants, by going and earning revenue through the services that we're already providing through user fees and other mechanisms that don't cause an increase in tax rates, but do allow an increase in services. So keeping county spending, this is where I'm kind of fiscally conservative, right? I don't want to see my tax bill go up. I know my neighbors don't either. We've had a precipitous increase these past few years.
I'm progressive, and I don't want my tax dollars to go up. Okay.
No.
And so that's a unique take on how to increase, because the premise is still to increase services. How did you kind of come at this? How do we help people and not break the bank?
So it's really road tested by what I do every day at the Botanical Conservatory. In my time there, we've taken our subsidy down 20% from the public dollar, but we're still increasing our services. We've invested millions in the facility in a way that hasn't been done in the history of the building for 40 years. And we've also received millions of dollars in grants reinvesting in the facility. And those two things, it's on a small level, right? I run a $2 million facility. I totally recognize that the hundreds of millions of dollars in the county level are different from that, but it takes each operation to do its part. And that's what I want to be at County Council to do. I want to work with the department heads and provide the best service that I can to them so that they can do their jobs most effectively, that I'm not in their way, and that we're able to improve the services to the county residents.
Listen, 2 million or 200 million, it's just a few commas. If you don't know what to do with it, you're going to lose it. If you do know what to do with it, you're going to be able to prosper and do a whole lot of great things with it. So it doesn't matter the size of the budget. As I say, Black Pearl Studios, I'm here to help. Matt, what are the things, once you get elected, what are the things that you want to work on when you get there?
So all in all, to me, it's an issue of prioritization. And I want to touch on the fiscal conservatism point, because I think that there's this misnomer that Democrats aren't fiscal conservative, that we're big on spend and tax, and Republicans are the fiscal conservatives, that they don't like high taxes, they have low taxes. But you can look at the state of Indiana right now and see that isn't necessarily accurate.
Mm-hmm.
We have one of the highest, fifth highest gas tax in the country. Property taxes are an issue and a concern, especially for seniors. So I think we need to figure out a solution for that. I think that there's a number of options we can do. And I'm actually, I'm throwing around different ideas. Do you do a discount? Do you do a rebate? How do you do a deduction for seniors? So I do think that we need to get the concern that I have with that is because we do market-based assessments for our taxes, it creates these wild swings up and down. So somebody on a fixed income has a really difficult time budgeting for these, wild swings in the market that we've experienced over the last 3 or 4 years. So I think that is a concern. Granted, compared to the rest of the nation, we have fairly low property taxes. When I lived in Texas, I think with my taxes and insurance, my mortgage payment was actually double because of the taxes and insurance. But my number one priority personally is getting a handle on veteran suicide. Indiana has a very high population of veterans. We also have the highest amount of veteran monuments of any state in the country. Yeah. But we also have a veteran suicide rate that is higher than the national average. We have the highest veteran suicide rate in the Midwest, including not the old Midwest we learned about, Illinois, Indiana. I'm talking all the way out to, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota. And I think that there's a lot that we need to be doing infrastructure wise with healthcare, mental health care. We are 47th in the nation in public health investment. Yeah. We're 42nd, I believe, 41st or 42nd in mental health. We're 42nd in obesity, 42nd in smoking. And so there's a lot we need to be doing and should be doing and can be doing when it comes to reducing the suicide rate of veterans. And I believe that we put those infrastructures in place. It's something that benefits everybody. Mental health is a huge deal right now. I just finished up the Carmel Citizens Police Academy, and they have a crisis team that is specifically designed to do mental health calls. And they're up 40% already this year from where they were last year. Wow. And part of the problem is we don't have the mental health care professionals. We don't have as many hospitals, et cetera. Why is, I think, a question we should all be asking, but I think it's a question in the back of our minds we already kind of know. We know. One is investment, and two is the fact that we are putting policies in place where we're struggling finding and attracting and retaining talent to come to Indiana.
You don't say.
Yeah. My second concern is public education. We're lucky in Hamilton County. We have great schools. We have excellent schools. However, I don't think people realize that there's a canary in the coal mine in Hamilton County when it comes to the voucher system and kind of some of the stuff we're doing with charters. I think people live here. They think, oh, we have great schools. What's the issue? Well, the issue is now you're essentially funneling money away from public schools and putting into private schools where the people who live here who go to those schools are already going to. When you think about the vouchers were for underserved areas so that they could have opportunity to pick better schools. Well, when you expand it the way we did, and you realize that it's really the higher income folks are the ones that are taking advantage of it.
That was always the goal. They gave us that BS about lower income, blah, 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 blah. But it was always about, one, resegregating schools. Two, it was a wealth shift. It was taking money from lower income families and giving them to wealthy people who already had the money. That was always the goal. That's just a lie that they told us so that people can say, oh, my school is failing. Your school wasn't failing until you told me it was failing. Think about it. I'm sorry. It's a trigger for me. It's a trigger.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, and you think about this, we've had a supermajority for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And we have, 20% roughly of third graders cannot read. And they think that 20 years of policy that they should be the ones to come up with the solution for the problem that they created. And so I think that we need to get a handle on public education. We need to pay our teachers more. The solution last year, we had a 3,500 teacher shortage. Their solution last year was not to pay our teachers more. By the way, our teachers are paid less than any of the surrounding states.
Right.
Their solution was to expand the adjunct teacher positions, which are people who are not teachers by trade. They don't have the licenses. They don't have the background in education. So in some cases, they don't have a college degree. And their solution was, well, why don't we just reduce the requirements and expand the adjunct teacher roles?
Yes.
Well, I'm an airline pilot, and I will tell you that the solution to this perceived pilot shortage is not to reduce the number of flight hours required to have someone fly an airplane. The right answer is maintain the standards, pay more, come up with creative solutions to attract and retain talent.
But Matt, they actually have to care about public education to care about the public the public teacher, the public education teacher. They don't care. And I'm so glad that you are, you don't, that's why I can't be I can't be in the state house. I don't have the capability of like keeping it together. I am so triggered right now because you're right. Everything that you were talking about right now, I'm with you. But I feel the way that you are like, okay, I'm gonna be diplomatic about this because, that's the way I got it. But them people, man, they've been clowning and the people who are going to be hurt the most. Yes, eventually Carmel schools may be hurt down the road. But what choices are in rural Indiana? How many private schools are in rural Indiana? How many charter schools are in rural Indiana? They have no damn choice. And they have to do the same amount with a whole lot less. And that's why you also have a group of individuals in rural America who are who are mad because they feel like everybody else is getting something that they were supposed to have, but they don't have the education to back up nothing. Right? Ooh, bro, I want you to win so bad.
And that's an area where we as Democrats need to do a lot better, right? I
want you to
understanding
win so bad.
What's that?
I want you to win so bad.
Thank you. I do too. But quite honestly, I feel like, again, the people of Indiana just deserve better than what they've gotten.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing about education. So here's how, for every dollar you invest in the public schools, your property values go up $20.
Yeah, don't
right?
say.
So from the standpoint of, Hamilton County, people need to understand that when you take away money from public school, this is going to reduce this property value in this area that we all love so much. And I think that that's one way that the message can appeal to moderates and Republicans is that, look, this is going to affect you. And I understand there are other areas being negatively affected, but I think we all well know that the reality of the situation is people care about what affects them and their family.
Right.
Right. So how do we find a message that reaches that individual and what they care about?
You're right about that. And that's why I tell people, when they ask me, why should I vote Republican or why should I vote Democrat? Nobody ever asks me why they should vote Republican. That never happens. But when they ask me why they should be a Democrat, I tell them, no, I'm not going to tell you why you should be a Democrat. I want you to look at the issues and then you see which party is writing the policies that impact you. See, people get caught up in these personalities. They get caught up in R&Ds, but they're not looking at who is writing which policy and how does that policy impact you. And until you break it down like that, like I saw a union that endorsed President Biden the other day, and the reason why they said they went away from Trump in 2020 to Biden was because they felt like the other guy lied and didn't stand up for him, and now it's impacting me because you didn't do what you said, and it's just like that. but and here's the thing. That's why I do Turn Left, right? So that we can get these messages out, so that we can share these messages and get people to listen to us and hear us in different ways. Because ain't nobody going to invite me on WIBC.
I don't think they'll invite me on either.
You got a better chance. But guys, what I loved about today's show was that I had two great candidates who are Democrats, but are practical and pragmatic Democrats who understand things from a holistic perspective. Allow me to scream the fire and brimstone. I'll do that. As candidates, you did exactly what you were supposed to do, and that was say, hey, I want to represent everybody. I want to speak to everybody. I mean, I feel like I do too, but, it's just different. And that's why I tell my Democrats, and I'm talking to y'all, some of y'all be out there, it's like got to be all or nothing. This is why our tent must always be diverse. It can't be all one thing or another. Here is a prime example of why it is necessary to have amazing, be they straight or gay, white male Democrats. This is why. Because they are speaking to things in a way and can speak to people that many of us in minority spaces will not ever have the opportunity to do. This is why it's necessary. And I thank God that you guys are here, because I catch a lot of slack sometimes when I say that, but it's like I'm not going into Southern Indiana and having the same impact as either one of you would, because I'm gonna be dismissed as soon as I walk through the door. Nate, you said you're a behavioral scientist. Am I right on?
I'm a social scientist,
social scientist. Sorry,
but you're right in there, right? I mean, it's about who's walking in the door and what they look like immediately, and a lot of people get precluded from those spaces.
I love it. You guys were great tonight. Nate, tell the people where they can find you.
So easy to find, NateCardelli.com. That's 2 L's and 1 I at the end. Elect Cardelli on Facebook and Nate Cardelli on X and Instagram.
All right. And do you have any events coming up prior to the primary election or anything coming up?
Prior to the primary, we actually have a day of action. We're knocking 1,000 doors this weekend on Saturday at the Allen County Public Library. We're starting around 11 a.m. We're going to get people mobilized. We're going to get primary voters out to the polls and remind them that it is important to vote in your May primary.
I love it. Love it. Great answer. Okay, Matt, you're on the spot. Tell the people where they can find you. Tell them where they can find you.
So my website is McNally, FORIndiana.com. Everywhere else, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and Threads at McNally, the number 4, Indiana.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
What events you got coming up?
So we canvass every Saturday at 10:30 at 610 North Rangeline Road. So you all are welcome to come. And then after the primary, I mean, I'm canvassing almost as much as I can, almost every day. After the primary, we'll set our date where we're going to be canvassing, doing formal canvasses both days of the weekend. We'll have 3 different sessions on Saturday and Sunday. But for now, 10:30 every Saturday, 610 North Rangeline Road. And then I will be having a primary watch party at Beer Brewery in Carmel, BIER, starting at 6 p.m. And I'm not running against anybody in the primary, so it should be a good watch party.
I love it. I'm sorry I can't make it. I will be in D.C. on Election Day. So didn't I send a message out last week to everybody in Facebook world? Do you have your plan to vote? I guess I better make one. Hey,
I early voted yesterday. It was great. In and out in 10 minutes.
I think I will early vote like Monday or Tuesday next week, just to get it in and make sure I get it in before I fly out to DC. I get to go to the Emily's List Gala. Act Blue. I'm telling y'all, I love working at Act Blue. It is like the greatest thing on the planet. I get to literally do what I wake up to do every day and get paid for it. And that is help Democrats get elected. I'm living my best life. Guys, donate to these candidates as well, right? This, again, they need your help. They didn't tell you that they had any fundraisers coming up, but this was a fundraiser. So please, please donate to their campaigns. $5, become a recurring donor. $10 a month will help these candidates out, and it'll help them build that money up for the general. Nate's got a tougher challenge in the primary because there's multiple people running at these at-large seats. But anything that you can give will definitely help for the long run. Consider becoming a recurring donor. I promise you won't even miss that $20 a month. You won't even miss it. I'm telling you, you won't. If you do it, do it on your pay Friday, and then you'll never even notice it's gone. Right? So consider time, talent, and treasure. All right, I do have more candidates coming on next week, but listen, look for my special that I'm going to do with the fabulous John Bartlett. I will make sure that I post it and highlight it so that you guys have it. And I created a new ad for Hoosier Women Forward, and I'm super excited about sharing that. So I will be sharing the Hoosier Women Forward ad that we put together with the Amy's at HWF, because the opening for that is coming up real soon. The application period is about to open up real soon, so look for that. But in the meantime, I love talking to y'all. My candidates were fantastic tonight. Gave me something else to think about and how to grow our party and how we can do better. But in the meantime, I will holler at y'all next week. Peace.
Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.